And Teddy Atlas actually said that he thought Keith Thurman was the guy to take over. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Keith Thurman won't do what Floyd did. I don't know that Keith Thurman, because he has that similar style. He sets traps. He's an aggressive fighter, but he's aggressive with patience. He doesn't just come out and try to blow through you. I don't know, man. I think Keith Thurman has enough skills to where he can stay back and not put himself at risk. And I think we kind of are starting to see that now that he realizes that number one spot is at hand. There's nobody to chase. They're all chasing me. I don't think that aggression is going to be the same. I don't know.
You know, like you said, when you're protecting something versus pursuing something, there's a much different approach to it. I just like this fight. I said before Floyd retired, I said that these guys were going to have to quit getting in the line trying to appeal to Floyd and his management to get that fight, that call from TMT, and that eventually they were going to have to start fighting one another and forging their own careers and making their own paydays. And I just think this is one of those fights that's in that line, that it's a great matchup. I think Porter's excited. I favor Keith Thurman right now, but that Collazo performance is not out of my mind just yet.
Didn't Collazo quit?
He had a bad cut, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was some technical knockout, but Thurman was visibly flustered in what was going on in that fight, and Collazo had made him back up. One thing I want to get, because we're at 90 minutes, but one thing I definitely wanted to get into, and we can get into Alvarez and Cotto or Andre Ward, is he wasting time with his career? And I had a couple of PBC questions, but one thing that I'm very excited about, man, is Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillen versus Danny Jacobs. I think that's coming up early December.
Yeah.
I think that's the best fight out there, and just the implications that it has for future fights. Right. That's the best thing that I see going right now is Quillen and Jacobs.
I like the fact that both people want to fight each other.
Exactly.
That kind of, it's been so long since I can remember two guys actually going and saying, if I win, I want to fight this guy. They both could go in totally different directions, and both could be successful, and you could set this up 5 years down the road.
Exactly.
But I think both guys realize we fight each other now, the winner of this comes out and may be considered right up there behind Gennady.
Because I'm not the biggest Quillen fan. I'm really getting more into him because I thought he was a little too patient. But after seeing him fight Andy Lee and then Zarafa in that last fight, and just seeing how when he wants to press the
he's a scary dude.
Yeah, he's a physical dude, and that's what I actually got a retweet from Quillen, because I talked about, I felt like Jacobs is not physical,
not at all
enough.
He got knocked down by Sergio Moore.
And that's what I'm saying. The Sergio Moore fight messed up a lot of stuff, because as Sergio sustaining that injury that led into the fight ending, we didn't get a lot of questions answered. And he got that knockdown against Sergio Moore, the Latin Snake, got that knockdown against Danny Jacobs. And I'm just like, Quillen is just sitting here ready to swing for the fences.
It was he walked in and got hit clean with a shot from a guy with no power, and it sent him on his. And all I kept thinking is that could happen over and over and over and over in this fight. And then unfortunately, Mora ended up sustaining the injury. Peter Quillen, power-wise, probably can put everybody in the division to sleep. Probably can go up a division and put guys to sleep.
Exactly.
He probably is actually a guy that could face both a Gennady, go up and set some kind of catch weight, and maybe even fight a Kovalev.
Exactly.
And I honestly believe both of those guys have been hit. And if he landed a solid shot, the guy's punches look like like guys really do, when they get hit, they really do look at that promoter and think, you really don't care too much for me. You don't. You went in that other area and set that bet against me, didn't you? Because I mean, it's just guys get hit and you see them smile, you see them shake it off, you see them, hit their gloves together. When Peter Quillen hits them, they look scared. That dude that he put in the hospital, that Safarin
Zarafa,
I felt so bad for that man because he came out there trying to square off in the first round, and I said, "Oh man, there ain't no way." Does he even know who he's facing?
Because he got comfortable after tasting some of the power. He just was like, "I'm gonna go for it," and I was like, "Dude, you knew it. You made a very bad. You should have waited till like the 8th or 9th.
You don't do it. You don't do it, man. I'm sorry, because when he fought Andy Lee was. They showed that round over again, or that section of the round. The ref he had every right to stop that fight. Andy Lee was gone.
Yeah,
he was gone. When he was sitting there and his arms was crossed and he had that, his eyes was. I said that the fight's over, but for some reason the ref let him continue on. Daniel Jacobs. I guess from a boxer standpoint, maybe he can be smarter than he's ever been. Maybe he can be evasive, but with his length, Chocolate's length, and that straight, he throws that straight. It only takes one.
He's just a thicker guy, a thicker leg guy.
Have you ever seen him without his teeth? He has no, like, 3 or 4 of his front teeth are all. You have to go and look it up.
Where'd you see this? Where'd you see
after the fight? I said that. I don't know.
Knocked out them fronts.
I don't know what he did back on the streets of New York, but yeah, he missing like 3 or 4 of his front teeth, man.
Wow. Okay.
I said, man, this dude, he's for real.
Maybe I vaguely recall seeing something that I did a double take, and I didn't realize what it was. But let's get ready to wrap this up, man. We're gonna come back. We have another a moment before another couple weeks before Cotto and Alvarez and Ward. I thought he signed the fight, but we can come back to that.
He's on the undercard.
Ward is on the undercard?
I think he's on the undercard. Yeah, I think I just read that this morning or this afternoon.
Ward on the undercard? Anyway, I just really wanted to get your thoughts, man, with the PBC. Hopes and prayers go out to Pritchard Colon. I read a good article on that on that fight and the handling of this. But
Did you get a chance to watch that?
Huh?
Did you get a chance to watch that?
The fight?
Yeah.
I saw pieces of it, but I left before all the controversy happened. Well, my thought is, are fighters fighting a little too regularly on PBC? Are they putting their fighters in the ring a little too often, compared to what we're used to seeing?
Well, he was making quick work of his opponents, so I don't know if I'd say
that's a true statement. I
mean, I watched.
He didn't get touched up very much by Vivian Harris at all.
No, he
that's Pritchard Colon.
Yeah, he had Vivian Harris on. He was wildly pretty much 30-40 seconds into the fight, and I don't know that it went past the second round. I think he either got stopped.
It was a third round fight.
Was it third round? Okay,
third or fourth.
But Vivian Harris, 10 years ago known as a knockout puncher, I don't think he loaded up and threw anything that had any meaning. I think it's partly the fighter, and it's such a. I think people saw Floyd leave and they saw all the money and they saw all the attention and the glam, and I think all these guys are looking at themselves. Any guy that's undefeated right now is saying, "Man, I'm a few fights away from being that." So I don't know that boxing is doing them an injustice, or I don't know if I blame their promoter. In that particular fight, that was a brutal fight. That fight was that guy came out, Terrence Williams, I believe. Terrell Williams. He came out from the first round, and when I saw the fight, I saw he was 31. I said, man, this guy, he says, I'm doing it all now or it's over. And he came out and fought that way. I mean, he was bombing on dude the whole fight. I mean,
I noticed very early that his left hand was finding Colon, and it was the dirt.
It was the physical presence. He wasn't letting Colon box at a distance. He walked right up to him and got in his chest.
Right.
There was a lot of of tussling going on. Just it was a beating from an old school fighter perspective. It was a beating, and it's unfortunate, but I hate to say it this way, but that's a byproduct of the craft. I mean, it's.
I just felt like the fouls. We see those fouls pretty. He is on that undercard. Ward will be fighting on the undercard. That's a little odd, but I just feel like the fouls were kind of common to boxing. I didn't feel like they were that heinous.
Yeah.
But I just felt like that Pritchard Colon was frustrated that fight.
He was,
and I didn't know if it was frustrated from fighting more often than regularly, or like you said, just getting in front of a guy who wasn't.
It seemed about the fourth, fifth round where you started to see, because he would hit him, and as soon as he would hit him, Williams would line him back up and was right back in his face.
Right.
And in those previous two fights that I watched, he looked like this superstar fighter. He hitting hands down, just walking around. Anytime a guy starts complaining about getting hit behind the head, or he's holding, or usually fighters respond in one of two ways. Look at that fight in particular. When he hit Williams with the low blow, it was obviously deliberately a low blow. Right. When Williams got up, he cussed him out the whole time till the ref said, fight. He got up and he made it known, I'm coming after you. As soon as I get up, when Colon was getting hit behind the head every time, he fell on the ground twice and was holding his head, and it was almost like he was looking for an out.
That's what I got out of it.
But I think it was because of Williams. I don't know that it was because maybe he going into the fight, maybe he told his promoters, I don't want this fight right now. I don't know. Maybe there was some discrepancies in that. But from what I heard happened, he went into the locker room, started throwing up, and then that's when he passed out.
Fainted.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if maybe corners let guys. He looked like he was beat by about the 10th round. He looked like he didn't want to continue on, and maybe you don't want to take that from a guy, or you don't want to take, like the guy that was fighting Mike Perez was his name. The
Stevenson?
No, Mike Perez is the heavyweight that I was telling you about that fought the Russian, and he ended up fighting Bryant.
Okay.
A couple fights later, but when he fought that Russian guy, it went the full 10 rounds, and the Russian guy ended up going to the hospital with the brain bleed.
Oh, okay.
And it's the same situation. I mean, if you know your guy has lost and he's just taking a beating like that, but he ain't going down, and I think you got to step in as a corner maybe and say, or maybe these the doctors can take, because they're the ones who truly know what you're exposed to with the rabid punches, the punches in the back of the head.
That's the problem in this one, is that he went back to the corner after the 7th round, I believe, and told them that he was very dizzy and he didn't feel right.
I think that's the round where he got hit in the back of the head.
Right, that was the first one.
Yeah.
And then he got a hit again in the 8th in the back of the head, and it was a little more severe. But all I'm saying is, I don't feel like, and we can get ready to close this out, but I just don't feel like boxing in general looks good, and the fact that nobody has went back and really addressed, and we're not watching the PBC card that's happening tonight because I don't have Bounce TV, but as a sport, nobody's come forward and tried to say something about what's going on with this young man, and here he is. He's a guy that seemed to have a promising future ahead of him. Now he's been in a coma for at least 2.5 weeks, I believe.
They took him off the ventilator, though.
Yeah, he is breathing on his own, I believe. But Al Heyman has not, which is a guy who likes to hide in the shadows anyway, but he hasn't come forward and said anything. And I just think with boxing being on network TV, moving to all these new outlets, and the free boxing for all campaign going on, I just feel like it's kind of a bad look for the sport that nobody is really talking about this young man, and it's just like they've moved on to the next week. And I would hate for boxing because MMA, and you being a big MMA guy, you know, MMA has done a lot of things to clean itself up over the years to be accepted by the public. And like I said here, boxing is a sport that I heavily support and try to lift up. And here it is in a serious